Let's answer some questions today, talking about standout wide receivers, Mahomes' stats for the 2022 NFL season, who's going to flash, JuJU Smith-Schuster or MVS, look at running back scenarios, a Nick Bolton season tackle prediction, Orlando Brown Jr.'s contract, and much freaking more. But first, how about those? What's up, guys? My name is Cole, aka the Mighty Bearded Chiefs Wizard, and my mind may be gone, but this majestic beard makes me the beardly king of facial follicles. And the first thing to note in today's video is this important statement. Any man who would shave the beard for a lady doesn't deserve the beard or the lady. And second, I do daily news about the Chiefs and the NFL overall, so I'm definitely going to need you to sub if you're new for the best Chiefs news in the Midwest, and hit that like button simply for the fact that I'm answering over 20 questions in this video on the 4th of freaking July. And let's get into this video, this little Q&A special. That's right, today's video is a Q&A in which I'll probably start doing one of these weekly to better interact with all of y'all. First up is Shaggy Shane, the freaking legend himself, and he asks, what was the very first Chiefs game you attended at Arrowhead, what year, and what do you vividly remember about that game? Well, ironically, my dad took me and my brother to see the Philadelphia Eagles game, Chiefs versus Eagles, with Andy Reid and Donovan McNabb back in 2001, and the Chiefs got spanked 23-10. I remember two things about that game. First, it was freezing cold, and second, Eagles fans were throwing beer on some Chiefs fans behind us, but the beer also hit me and my brother, and we were like 10 at the time, and my dad is normally a rowdy guy, but I think he was half freaked out at the fact that this was going on right behind us, and I think he was scared a little bit for me and my brother, but that's what I remember. Eric Wahlberg has a question and says, let's ride. Luis Garcia says, Nick Bolton ended last season with 112 tackles on only 60% of snaps. Now that he'll be on the field over 90% of snaps, how many tackles will he end up with? And will he end up becoming a Pro Bowler? Well, I suck at math, actually horribly, but if he played 60% of snaps and got 112 tackles, 90% of snaps, should get him somewhere around like 170-ish. Now, you could lean that either direction, 10, 15 tackles or so. So let's go aggressive and say he gets around 190. That would put him as 8th most tackles in a single season, just over Dante Jones, who had 189 tackles back in 1993, and under Foye Oluokun, butchered that name, who had 192 last season. Midnight Buster says, what's your second favorite team in the NFL? And that answer, after the Kansas City Chiefs, would be the Kansas City Chiefs. Definitely no real second favorite, but teams I have enjoyed watching in the past would be teams that have players that to me are very exciting to watch, but good dudes on and off the field. So I actually liked watching the Colts a lot when Manning was on their team, and the Seahawks a lot when Russell Wilson was on their team. And I realized when making this video that I need to quit liking QBs of other teams because they then end up going to the Broncos. Lord have mercy. But if you had to put a gun to my head and said pick a second favorite team, it would definitely be the Oakland Raiders. Of course, that was a joke. Those guys are absolutely horrible. DeRuse23 says, let's go 5 years in the future. Who do you see as a starting tight end for the Chiefs? Is it Fortson, Noah Gray, or a free agent? Thanks again, you red bread bastion of cred. Bastion? That's a very smart word that I don't know. Anyway, first off, the nickname is epic. Second, it's sad to think about Kelce gone. I would cry if I had tears to shed right now. But in 5 years, Fortson's going to be 31, 32 that December. So even if he steps up somewhat in Kelce's stead as tight end number 1, it'll be time to look somewhere once again. I'm not 100% sure Noah Gray is going to be that guy. I guess you never know, but my gut tells me we're going to find someone else, the next man up, if you will, via the draft. The guy won't be Kelce. He won't be Gonzalez, but his own little person, because the odds of finding someone like Kelce or Gonzalez with their output and talent level is super freaking rare, but I do pray that we find another. The Dre Max Show asks, who do you think will have more of an impact at wide receiver this season, MVS or JuJU Smith-Schuster? And for an even shorter name, just call them the Dash Brothers. But for me, it's a bit of a toss-up depending on how things play out, because I could see two scenarios happening. The first being this: teams stay committed to the too high shell look and remain steadfast in taking away the deep ball no matter what freaking happens. And if that's the case, JuJU is absolutely going to feast like it's Thanksgiving every single week. But if the Chiefs spread the ball around enough and do enough damage and run the ball, run the freaking football, please, that too high shell is going to come down, and then it'll be MVS's time to shine, and he will scorch teams like a flamethrower with his speed and Mahomes chucking in the ball. My gut feeling, though, is this. Even though MVS is shining so far throughout OTAs and minicamp, I would not be surprised to see JuJU go off this season, being number 2 in yards behind Travis Kelce and having a great year. Scott Crosser asks, who has the best burnt ends in Kansas City and who has the most interceptions this year? Go Chiefs. Well, burnt ends, barbecue in general, actually is a very divisive topic. No matter what I answer, people are going to be mad at me. So I don't have a proper answer, because here's my honest answer to this question. I love Kansas City barbecue so much that everywhere I go, I get burnt ends, and it's always freaking good. So I'm not the best guy to ask for a specific place for burnt ends, because I love it all. Not even joking. And as far as interceptions, kind of a tough question. Willie Gay and Snead each had 2 last season. But then you have some new players, and of course Trent McDuffie. But give me Snead with 4 interceptions leading this year. Cole Kelleher, hope I said that right, says, I see the running back position being filled one of 2 ways, either CEH, McKinnon, Gore, and Pacheco, plus Michael Burton at fullback, and we trade Rojo, or CEH, Rojo, McKinnon, and Pacheco along with Burton at fullback, and we stash Gore on the practice squad. Which one is more likely in your little mind? He didn't call my mind little, but I did. First off, you have one of the best first names I've ever seen in my life, Cole. And to answer, I think it's less likely, in my opinion, that Rojo is traded. So I'd go with option 2, CEH, Rojo, McKinnon, Pacheco, and stash Gore on the practice squad. But the late addition of McKinnon makes me wonder what aspect the Chiefs saw that was lacking to bring him back so late. It's either they saw something lacking or they wanted him back this entire time, yet McKinnon tested the little waters to see where else he could land, and he could not find any greener pastures. I don't know, but my brain is always turning about stuff like this. And also to note real quickly here, y'all went absolutely nuts yesterday with super thanks comments. Chiefs fan for life dropped $10 simply saying, another great update, let's go Chiefs. Well, let's freaking go. Thanks so much for that, bro. You are the man. The Dre Max Show said, Cole, the man who lost his mind but not his beard. Unlike myself, keep it up. Happy 4th to you and your family. Very true about my mind. One would say that someone who wakes up just prior to 4 a.m. to make a YouTube video every single day is indeed crazy. And you know what? I don't deny it. And then all the way from Perth, Australia, MC 900 something Mike. MC 900 feet Mike. Anyway, you are MC 900 Mike. You sent over 10 Australian dollars and said, big thanks from a daily viewer in Perth, Australia. Respect the work to keep Chiefs Kingdom entertained. Well, are you not entertained? I like that movie a lot, Gladiator. Anyway, I appreciate it a ton. My wife studied abroad in Perth a couple times when she was like 19, and she loved it there. She did say, sorry to disappoint y'all, that it's much prettier in Australia, Perth area, the beach, all that good stuff, than Kansas City. And then I told you it just keeps going because Chris Todar dropped $10 as well, saying, hands down the absolute funniest red-bearded, bald-headed person I know. Keep up the good work from way down in El Paso, Texas. Let's go Chiefs. Well, let's freaking go. You beautiful man. I just slapped the little mic, but I do not care. I'm glad you guys are encouraged. Thanks for the super thanks. That really helps, especially in July, because ad revenue is going to be low because this is the low part of football season. So I'm definitely making less money this month. Super thanks definitely help with that. Appreciate y'all so much. Thanks again. You Walker, Texas Ranger legend. Andrew Lyon asks, if I will shave Go KC into my beard if we win the Super Bowl this year. And to that I say, heck freaking no, I'm not touching this thing unless it was for about $10,000. Even then, it would be one of the most difficult decisions of my life, probably even more difficult than burying my dog when I was a kid. Just kidding. That's dark humor for you. It just comes out. I don't know. Megan Bayless asks, is Mecole Hardman safe? And to that, my answer is 100% yes, he's safe. He's not going anywhere this season. It's a contract year and his stock is not high enough, in my opinion, to get any real trade value out of right now. Plus, he is now the veteran wide receiver on the team, and he's really going to show off and show out this season with Hill gone, or at least in theory, he's going to get the chance to do so. And with this being a contract year for him, I assure you he's going to want to do everything in his might to go absolutely bonkers this season to get the biggest payday of his life. So yeah, Mecole is safe for sure. Unless he's injured, of course, then he is screwed. Marcella Arvizu. I messed up that name so bad. Please don't hate me. But she asks, when I became a Chiefs fan, and to that, my answer is as soon as I slid out of my mother's womb. My parents grew up in the Raytown area, went to school there, so that's in the Kansas City area. So I have been a Chiefs fan since before I was born. I grew up watching the Chiefs with my dad nearly every Sunday, mainly watching them lose and throwing bad call bricks at our big ol' brick TVs. You remember those? But I've always been a fan, though maybe not as diehard of a fan when I was younger, probably because we sucked. But when Andy Reid came into town, I started watching a lot more. It was very fun and intriguing, and I was just getting older. I was like in my younger teens and wanted to take the sport of football a little more serious. So basically, I bleed red and gold if you were to cut me, but don't do it because I don't like blood. James T. Kirk says, Cole, you are a former black belt kung fu or jiu-jitsu master. Ki bow to your sensei. Do you have to register your beard as a lethal weapon? And while I do have a secondary black belt in Taekwondo, I have never had to register these mitts, these hands, but yes, the beard is definitely registered and certified under Redbeard Inc. LLC and is good to go as the official beard of the kingdom for the next 5 to 10 freaking years, so let's freaking go. Kevin from Indiana says, who do you think will be the most surprising cuts heading into the season? Thanks and rock on Chief Thunderbeard. Whoo! Tough question though, because these battles are so competitive in multiple position groups that I think we're all about to get surprised at some of them. I'll give you a couple potential surprise cuts off the top of my head. One, wide receiver Justin Watson, though I'd really like him to stay, but that would be a surprise to me because of his flashes at OTAs and his ability to play special teams. But I have a feeling we're going to be surprised at some of these wide receiver cuts as they trim down. The coaches know more than we do, and they're going to make some moves that are surprising to us. Guarantee it. They're going to keep a receiver, though, that has special teams value. Is it DeRuse Fountain? Hopefully it's Justin Watson, but I could see something crazy happening. Another one would be Jerick McKinnon. Could you imagine that one? I'm not saying it's likely, but that's a scenario that could play out in my head if they made the decision to go to 3 running backs, weren't seeing something that they liked with McKinnon, maybe an injury. His contract is not that much money, so McKinnon could go bye-bye. That would certainly be a surprise cut to me. Again, though, just a guess. James Cantwell says, how much faith do you have in our defense this year? And I have faith the size of a small mustard seed. Ideally, they are better than last year and look to be so in some areas, but over recent years, I've learned to be cautiously optimistic about the Chiefs' defenses, and so cautiously optimistic I will remain. Frank Barajas asks, will Kelce break 1,000 yards plus for his 7th straight year? And to that I say, yes and amen. As long as he's healthy enough to play 75% of snaps this season, he is going to break 1,000 yards because Mahomes is going to continue to lean on this man like a crutch as one of his most trusted go-tos this season. 100% book it. Eric Duke says, oh, chin of fire. That's actually a fantastic nickname. Do you know what our cap situation is? If we're paying OB Jr. $25 million a year, it seems that would be a backbreaker, but I know very little about how those numbers get crunched. Yeah, I'll be the first to admit right along with you, I'm no expert either. In fact, I just sit in my basement for a living and troll people, but I do believe that if a long-term deal gets done, even if the contract is in the 20-somethings million dollars per year, the first couple of years should actually help our salary cap when you factor in some of the roster bonus conversion blah, blah, blahs that they're going to do. Typically, the larger cap hits are going to be further down the line of a contract, so I think we're going to get a long-term deal done, and I think it's actually going to help our cap space a bit for the first couple of years. Also to note, Orlando Brown Jr.'s deal should be getting done here within the next 10 days or so keep your little eyes peeled for that because I imagine it's happening soon. Brandon Jones asks, when are you going to start having guests on the show? It would be cool to hop on and do some debates, maybe add some more buzz to the channel. Thoughts? Yes, I do think that'll happen soon-ish, maybe. I got to do my first live stream for starters, but some debates or guest appearances would be awesome. I think as I continue to grow the channel and increase my social media / YouTube little footprint, opportunities are going to come up. But right now, my main focus are these value-packed videos for you all. That's so Brody asks, what do you think Mahomes' stats will be? And if you pull up his season stats, talking to you, Cole, as you edit this video, pull it up there, with or without Hill. If Mahomes remains healthy, he breaks 4,000 passing yards easy and 35 TDs. I personally would be completely happy with his stats looking somewhere similar to 2021 and 2020 stats, albeit Less interceptions in 2021, please, but give me 4,500 yards, 37 TDs, and 8 interceptions. And that is absolutely incredible, in my opinion, when you look at the loss of Hill and the near complete change of the receiving core. If he does even better than that, freaking awesome. If he does a little lesser than that, that's still a great year, to be honest. And Mahomes is the man. So, it's going to be pretty good. What are your guys' thoughts on today's video? Anything I said way off? Any additional thoughts you want to add? Do you want to compliment my beard? I don't know. If so, make a comment down below and let's bicker about it down there like tiny little yapper dogs. Or just leave a bearded comment or a super thanks to potentially appear in the next vid. Sub for more daily news like this. And then check out this video here, which is a short 3-minute video from about 6 years ago that they made on how much Marty Schmidt did not like the Raiders. And until next time, let's go. Let's freaking go. How about those?